The Celtics Talk podcast is presented by 24autogroup.com, 11 locations across New England.
What's up, everybody? Sunshine and puppy dogs here on the Celtics Talk podcast. After the Celtics bounce back in a big way, 121-94 over the Orlando Magic, the shorthanded Orlando Magic, but we won't belabor that. The best way I can sum this up is, boy, did the Celtics need a game like this. It wasn't the best win of the season, but it was one of the more needed wins of the season. We all know, I don't have to recap it, everyone's been harping on the last 14 games preceding this one, the 7-7 record, some of the ugly numbers, particularly in that loss to the Raptors up in Toronto the other night. Celtics come back home. I feel like everybody in Celtics land has spent the last 48 hours sort of analyzing the numbers and looking for patterns. And I'll tell you, even from my perspective, I kept coming away thinking, man, the numbers aren't that bad. Now slightly juiced by the fact that they won like a 50-point win over Toronto on New Year's Eve. But the eye test was telling you that this team was just not right the last week of this 6-week funk. And how refreshing to see, with sort of like all the eyeballs on them, everyone kind of expecting that they have to start turning it up, and how appropriate on Game 41, reaching the midway point of the season. The Celtics responded with one of their best efforts, and the energy was better, the intensity was there, the starters had their mojo, everybody got involved. And so, look, if in 20 hours they lose to the Atlanta Hawks, I'll be back in this room saying, what the hell, and we can fret the team's inconsistencies. But at least for this night, everything that we wanted to see. So I did this little thing on NBC Sports Boston on Friday morning, 7 things that I kind of wanted to see change. I should actually pull up the list, because I think the Celtics nailed just about every single one of the things I had put on this list. And I'd even said when I wrote it, I said, they don't need to get all these. It would just be helpful if they started chipping away at the list. And so let's do this. It was my 7 ways the Celtics can snap out of their funk. Number 1, Derek White shakes his nasty shooting slump. Well, let's face it. Like, this has been, of all the players in a funk, Derek White have been the deepest. He had his shovel in his hard hat and was scraping towards the center of the earth with his 27.5% shooting in January. He got an early 3-pointer to fall in this one. You could feel the inside TD Garden as he breathed a sigh of relief. Not a huge night for Derek, but 12 points, 5 of 12 from the floor. Got a couple threes to fall. Most importantly to me, plus 21. He had 4 straight games where he was negative in the plus minus, and boy did he bounce back far more like a normal Derek White night on this night. Number 2, corner offers renovation. The Celtics had shot a blistering 43.6% on corner threes last year. That number had dipped to 37.3 this year. The Celtics went from first overall last season to 18th overall. I do not have the corner three-pointer numbers in front of me, but anecdotally, I will tell you, I know Drew Holiday got at least 1 to fall from the corner. I know Al Horford had a couple. It felt like the Celtics did a much better job not only creating good looks from the corner and getting the extra pass to generate the good look, but they made a lot more. And it's the Drew Holiday stuff is super fluky. To go from 61% in the corner last year, the best in the NBA, down to 27% through the first half of the season is just bizarre. And I don't have an answer for why. And I suspect that Drew will make more of those when the games matter. And good to see him get at least 1 to fall tonight. And maybe that just, again, those are the right shots. That's one of the highest value shots in basketball. Celtics need to not only generate more of those, which I think they actually have done this year. I think the number was they're generating close to another 1 extra corner 3-pointer per game. They just haven't made them. It's crazy what a difference making 1 or 2 more of those can do. Number 3, Jaylen Brown puts the focus back on his all-defensive quest. So look, I was harsh on JB. I thought he was a little spacey, a little, just not in the right spots, maybe some miscommunication. He was far from the only one who was having defensive lapses in that Toronto game and in the recent stretch. His January numbers as an individual defender were not very good. Tonight he played with an intensity and a focus to the point where he was trying to scramble to I remember there was someone trying to do a backdoor cut and he was maybe a step late getting to it and he almost stumbled just because he was so eager to try to cut off the path to the basket. And they didn't throw the pass anyway. There was another one where I think he caused a deflection and then lost the ball in transition. What mattered to me is the energy and the intent. And it was clear that Jaylen was trying to make good things happen. I think he ended up with a couple steals in this game. Ends up with 3 steals. Did have the 3 turnovers, but I really thought the way he started playing this game was infectious for this team, and they need more of that. I thought Drew Holiday was more locked in at the point of attack. I thought guys were just in the right spots more often, and the Celtics need more of that. The defensive numbers haven't been as maybe jarring as the dip in offense, but it was good to see them bring that defensive intensity tonight. 4, Sam Hauser goes from back woes to he's back. All right, Sam got a couple threes to fall, 2 for 4 beyond the 3-point arc, 3 of 5 overall, 8 points plus 6 on the night, 17 minutes, 16 seconds of floor time. Now look, Sam's had a couple short stints. For whatever reason, his playing time has come down. That could just be Peyton's getting more minutes. This was a night where if you're going to play Al and Porzingis, you're going to get as much out of him as you can because you're not going to have him against the Hawks. The fact that Sam shot 60% from the floor, huge, super encouraging. Needs to let it snowball because the 3-point shot was down. And again, it's everybody needs to get it back. Number 5, take care of home. Check. Celtics did not have a lapse against a team that has given them fits over the years over the last recent seasons, that plays super hard and plays physical, that was getting a bunch of whistles early. I like the way the Celtics kind of fed off the energy of being back home and made sure they got to the finish line of this win. I keep saying it, the Celtics already have more losses at TD Garden this season than they did all of last year, including the playoffs where they lost 2 home games. So 6 losses total last year, 7 already. They need to be better at taking care of home court advantage because, especially when the playoffs roll around, need to win those home games. 6, it starts with the starters. And boy, did it. I told you the numbers. The Celtics were minus 11.8 in 147 minutes to start the year. And this is the stat that jumped out that I wrote about. Of the 33 5-man lineups that had at least 130 minutes of playing time entering tonight, Boston's starting 5 ranked 32nd. There was only one unit that was worse. I believe it was a Portland lineup. The starters have been outscored by 40 points in that span, including minus 12 in Toronto. A bounce back tonight, 20 minutes. In fact, they played a huge stretch in the first half, both to start the game and coming back in the second quarter. Joe Mazzulla said that's just how it shakes out. I think he's lying. I think he made a concerted effort to go back to that lineup because, 1, it was working early, and 2, I just think those guys have got to figure it out. And they force-fed KP early, and then Jayson Tatum took the baton, and then Jaylen Brown took the baton in the third quarter when the rest of the starters were off the court. And so it worked out really, really well in this game. The starting group plus 15 in their 20 minutes of floor time. It's the best game by far for that group out of the 11 games they've played together this season, and a chance to let it snowball. And then number 7 was fighting through it. And the point here was that the Celtics, the numbers were still good, but they're 7-7, and it just felt like things haven't been tipping their way. Could they just grind through the low points and figure this thing out? And I thought it was as simple as you see a few shots go down, your defensive energy is a little bit better, you're just a little bit heightened to when those lapses are hitting and making sure they don't snowball. And the Celtics certainly did that tonight. The biggest lead of the night, 27 points. Only 6 lead changes before they sort of ran away with this thing. The defense, we talked about earlier, 15.6% beyond the 3-point arc, for the Orlando Magic. Celtics shoot 45.9%. Math finally back in their favor. 12 additional three-pointers. Like, it doesn't matter what the opponent is. If the Celtics generate 12 more three-pointers a night, you're not coming close. And so Celtics actually lost some of the margins. 2 less shots overall. Pretty close in the rebounding. Celtics had a few more turnovers. But I go back to it. It's like you see a few shots go in, you play the right way, you bring the right defensive energy, everything just gets better. And so for one night, trending in the right direction. Maybe I hope I didn't break out my panic button. If I did, join me in putting it back under the glass for a little longer, at least until tomorrow night. And we'll see how that goes. Before we start to look ahead to that Atlanta game, here's more from our postgame show and some sound from the locker room.
The award-winning 24 Auto Group is the easy choice for your next car, truck, or SUV. 11 locations and over 2,000 new and pre-owned vehicles in stock.
Shop the brands you know and love, backed by savings and service you can count on. Plus, buy 3 and get 1 free for all tire purchases, with 11 convenient locations across the South Shore of Massachusetts.
24 has the knack to save you more. Visit us in store or online at 24autogroup.com.
Eddie, there's so much to like about this game, but what did you like specifically from the Celtics?
I liked the energy. We were physical. We came out. I think the tone was set in the very first quarter. We were talking about Jaylen Brown was 2 for 3. Kristaps Porzingis was phenomenal in the first quarter, and so was Derek White, 3 for 4. So when you look at those things, and I thought we matched their physicality. We played with energy. We played with fight, and to me, that's what I'm looking for. So tomorrow I'll have a fresh haircut.
I was going to ask you about that next.
I was going to say.
No fro.
I was going to say, I'll simplify it for you. We are so back. That was the first time.
It's amazing how the mood can change.
In a long time where the Celtics actually looked like the Celtics.
That's what winning does.
Mm-hmm. It's honestly, right? Like, and I've said this before, as frustrating as it was in the spurts, it feels like if they could just have a night like this where it did have the potential to snowball. Now, you got to still bring the same energy tomorrow night, and it's going to be a tough back-to-back, and we'll see who ends up playing. But I do feel good that, like, all those 7 things that I wanted to check before the game, I said you didn't have to get all of them, but you feel like you got most of them. Like, JT was rolling, JB was rolling, KP. I mean, a 20-20-20 game from your 3 stars. You got Derek White knocking down shots. Drew knocked down a couple in the corner. Like, everything you kind of wanted to see again happened in this game, and it's a good start. It is, again, just one step, but you feel like maybe a little bit of a weight will be lifted from this team, which sounds crazy given how good they are, but maybe now you can start to snowball a little bit.
It was so nice to see D. White kind of get back into mojo. Eddie, we were talking about this, like, it was really early in the game, and Jaylen Brown had an open shot, whether he decided to hesitate or said, let me kick it to D. White to shoot the 3. But what is that? I mean, it's just like sparks confidence in your teammates when Derek White has been struggling, shooting roughly 27% going into this game, and then just to see that 3 ball go in just gives you that encouragement.
One thing about it is, I was saying about this team is that they're selfless on the offensive end, and that's when they're at their best, and then they're selfish on the defensive end. And I thought that's what they did tonight. I mean, they guarded the 3 really well. The only thing I thought that, they might have sent the Orlando Magic to the line a little bit much. Now, I don't know if it was as much as they were fouling or were we getting a bad whistle.
The whistle's going.
Yeah, we were getting a bad whistle at times. But even you persevere through that. Even with a bad whistle, you find ways to guard. You find ways to share the basketball on the offensive end. You put them in multiple actions offensively. You have them in rotation. And then I like when we got the matchup that we wanted. You took advantage of it. When Cole Anthony was guarding or Anthony Black was guarding Jayson Tatum, we went to that. Mm-hmm. We didn't shy away from it. We didn't, we see the switch, but we're going to go to work. And it didn't matter where JT sometimes got pushed off of his spot, but he still was able, because of his size, still able to get to his spot where he wanted to get to shoot the shot. So I just like our overall approach to this game. This was Celtics basketball.
Yeah.
How about Jayson Tatum? I mean, 20 points in the first half. The first he's done that since November 4th, but then carried on all throughout the whole game. He finished with 30, and he did it in different ways. I loved what Scal said during the broadcast, right? He was just impacting the games by not just shooting behind the three, but dishing dimes, getting to the hoop. He was just all over the place.
Him and KP set the tone, right? Like they force-fed KP early, but JT was finding his spots and getting off the right shot. 3 levels, scoring, but they added a little bit of the mid-range tonight, which sometimes, fades away or has the ability to get to the basket. Everything was working tonight. And I'll say this too, like the one thing I wanted to see was the starters who have like really struggled, obviously, through the first 10 games of being together. Tonight, not only did Joe sort of force feed us that lineup, they went back to it early, as early as I've seen in the second quarter, and really rode it. I think they were up to about 22, 23 minutes midway through the third quarter. Good to see them finally getting some of that mojo back. And again, if that group starts to feel it, then everything else is going to take care of itself.
All right, well, the Celtics improved to 29-12 on the season, 15-7 at home. So just another win. A win is a win, and that's always good here for the Celtics. It's a great win. It's a great win, and a much-needed win, to say the least. Abby Chin stands by with Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen, we get Geno time. Coming off that loss to Toronto, how were you guys able to come together and respond here tonight?
Just started on defense, just come out and play basketball, and have some fun, have some joy for the game, and just play the game the right way.
What got you going in the third?
For me, I was just trying to get my teammates going. The game was kind of slow to start, so instead of just trying to force up shots, I just tried to get my teammates going, and I feel like that helped us a little bit.
You mentioned the defense, but this felt very different offensively. What changed?
You said us or them?
For you.
Yeah. I mean, I've had to adjust. It's a different year, and I just do what the team needs me to do. I've been able to evolve, do different things in my career. This team, I'm more of a playmaker, so I just embrace it, just get better in that role, and just do what I do.
But for you guys as a team tonight, the threes were down, but making plays at the rim.
My fault. I don't leave you hanging. My bad.
You good. We got up a lot of threes, we made them tonight, but we also got to the paint a lot. JT took some post advantages, using our physicality, taking advantage of guys, so I think we did that a little bit more tonight too.
The starters got some rest in the fourth. How do you take this momentum into tomorrow night against Atlanta?
Let's get ready for the next one. It's a quick turnaround for us, so we just got to get ready for the next one.
Jaylen, thank you. Congrats.
Thank you.
Jaylen Brown, 20 points there. Jayson Tatum with 30 here tonight. Welcome in, fellas. Drew and Scal now joining the conversation. Hey, Scal, I have something to say to you, because when you said defensively, you wouldn't know if you can handle if Jayson Tatum is doing that in between. I think I put more money on you and give you some more props.
Did you see Trevion Queen when he just put his hands out? He was getting shook. That's what. Let me tell you. Hey, you ain't playing against these young kids nowadays. They all got bags, Kayla. All of them got bags. Even kids that can't play got a bag. And I ain't trying to tear nothing, right? So yeah, that's how I look when I'm out there.
They all got bags except you, Ryder. The Celtics. Hater. What a performance tonight for the Celtics. I mean, think about what the conversation has been the last week, Scal. Lose to Sacramento, most lopsided loss of the season. Just barely beat New Orleans, a team that has a horrible record. CJ McCollum misses the shot, thank God. And then it's the point where you hit rock bottom against Toronto, because your boy, Jakob Poeltl, Thomas Bryant, Cooper Flagg, that's your dream team right there.
But you know what? This was a good game because we played the right way. We had balance. Threes are fine, but they come inside out, they're even better. And ask Eddie, like he could shoot them. Inside, you could come out like that. You're squared up, you're ready to go. So I just thought we just played good basketball. We had good balance. Stars were stars, but they made other people around them better. If the stars needed to elevate the game, that's exactly what they did.
And think about this game in segments, right? Or just go by quarter. I mean, the first quarter, Kristaps Porzingis, probably the best player on the floor, made his first 5 or 6 shots. Second quarter, Tatum take overtime, 15, 16 points, doing a little bit of everything. Third quarter, Jaylen Brown says enough of this, it's my turn.
And then fourth quarter with me and you.
We were just chopping it up, dude. Talking about Poof the Magic Dragon.
And that's what happens when you dominate 3 quarters.
Yes.
We get to cook. We get to get into our bag.
Because everybody's got one. Honestly, though, it felt a little bit like last year tonight, or like the start of the season. Because you know what's weird is if there is a such thing as a championship championship hangover for this team, Scal, it was delayed. I mean, the first month of the season, their blitzing team started 16-3.
Yeah.
It wasn't until a month, 2 months into the season that we saw maybe the effects of the championship wearing on them now.
They just got to figure out how to be great with Porzingis. That's it. Like, Porzingis is awesome. You want a big man that can shoot it like that, post it like that. That's exactly what you want. But maybe Tatum and Brown, like, you know what? I got to be aggressive even if Porzingis is back. So I think it's a mindset thing. You talked about the people who have dominated. Yeah, you got Tatum one quarter, Brown another quarter, Porzingis one. That has to be the mentality every single night.
Jaylen had 5 shots in the first half. He mostly focused on defense. On consecutive possessions, he had steals, and when he couldn't gather the ball out of bounds, you saw
that was great.
Yeah, you clapped like you really liked that. What did you like about that? And what did you like about Jaylen's effort to kind of show a bit more engagement probably than Toronto?
I liked just how he was thoroughly intense, and I think that's important for us. He brings a different level of a mentality to us at times, and I thought tonight he brought a great level of intensity. And you know, he had 20 points on 12 shots, and he has the ability to impact the game without shooting. I thought he just impacted it in many different ways. You know, even towards the end of the game, to close the game, he had to kick ahead to Al in the corner for there. So his ability to just impact the game in different ways and bring a high level of intensity is important for us to, you know, to just continue to get better. So I thought that he did that.
Well, I know it's one possession that you missed the 3, but it was like literally 5 passes on the floor.
Yeah.
I mean, great possession. The ball moved. Was there a lot of things you liked that you saw about just kind of your energy, not energy, but just kind of the focus and attention to detail as you point out, just the things that seem like Celtics basketball?
Yeah, I mean, I got, we had 3 offensive rebounds on that possession, and we just kind of made the right play. So that has happened even when it hasn't gone well for us. So, I mean, I think it's more about just understanding that we have to continue to make those plays regardless of if it's going well or not. And, you know, that to me is sticking to the process. You know, a play like Jaylen that you're talking about to where we don't come up with it, but we had the right intentions on offense, moving the bat. Like, just those things are important regardless of if you're winning or losing. We could pick 15 of those from the games that we haven't played as well. And it's just a matter of building on those and being more consistent in them.
This is honestly like, it feels maybe much bigger because it's a big stage and like we're not supposed to lose, but I think here the fans and everybody's a little bit spoiled because you don't know how it is to being on a under 500 team, or you know, like being really struggling, not being able to get wins. And of course the expectations are not the same, but still, it's, as a player, it's just, you know, you bite your teeth and you go to work next day. But here, you know, we're like, in a way, it's an unbelievable privilege that we're supposed to win every game. Like, we go into every game almost as the favorites, if not every game. So, of course, it's some like weight that you know we have to carry, or a little bit pressure that we have to carry. But that's, you know, that's expected with this, and we have to take it face on and keep building and keep making everybody, the betting companies, everybody think that we're going to be the favorites in every game we go into.
What bothered you about that Toronto game? I felt like that one really, you know, just the energy of it bothered you. And how did you guys respond to that? What kind of things did you do?
Yeah, I think just it was an uncharacteristic game for us. Uncharacteristic bad game for us. Like, no energy. Like at one point I was like, man, we're really gonna lose. Like, you know, like it was just one of those type of performances, and we rarely had those, but I felt like that one was kind of unacceptable from us. We can miss shots, we can do, but we had to have like more like personality, and that's what I felt. But today we looked like a completely different animal.
Joe put the starters back in with about 8 minutes to go in the second quarter. Was it nice? How nice was it to get that long, extended run with that group? And do you feel like you guys were able to find a little bit of rhythm?
Definitely. I think today was actually, from a rhythm perspective, was a good game. We were not like shooting a crazy amount of threes, but we were like shooting the right ones. Immediately our percentages were up, and we were like both in and out. And I think when we play like this, get downhill, create for each other, and then we get the threes, we have much more like uplifting energy. When we just come down and we, you know, shoot it, if we make, okay, good. But if we miss, then it can drain you a little bit. So tonight I think we had a good balance of like good balanced basketball, and I think that's when we're the best.
Taking a look at Jayson Tatum as Drew noted on the broadcast, tying Michael Jordan for 8th all-time for most points before turning 27. Of course, Tatum has got a little bit of time here, at least a month and a half before he can cash in and try to continue to climb up the ranks. This is all presented by the Massachusetts Health Connector. Everyone needs health insurance. If you don't have coverage, the time is running out. Open enrollment ends January 23rd, so find your plan at mahealthconnector.org. But Jayson Tatum passed Giannis and then tied Michael Jordan and really got going in the second quarter, Eddie, when I think he had 15 points in that second quarter alone.
Yeah, he did have 15 points, and he didn't start off particularly well. He didn't really shoot that much. He was 1 or 2 from the field. And think about this, man. He had 30 points. He didn't barely go to the free throw line. I think he only went to the free throw line 3 times. And most of the time that doesn't happen like that when you have 30 points. You usually are at the free throw line for at least 8 of those points. But he's just a 3-level scorer, a superstar, our superstar. And I just like the way he was patient tonight as well. So when we got the matchups that he wanted, he took advantage of it. He didn't sit back and say, hey, I'm going to jack up a 3 or I'm going to shoot. He got to his spots when he wanted to. Even when he did get pushed off his spots, he still was able to find and get where he wanted to and finish. He punished Cole Anthony. He punished Anthony Black every time they switched.
And he also did it with 4 bench guys on the floor with him for a stretch there as well. There's a long stretch where Joe Mazzulla won. That rotation was Jayson Tatum with 4 guys off the bench, and that almost felt like is when he really started to get going in that second.
Well, yeah, you're the main guy. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're not looking to facilitate. You're looking to score. And I felt like they made a conscious effort to make sure that he was getting the ball. And, because they understood the coverage. They were switching. So when they would switch, Anthony Black on him, hey, we're going to dump it down to you. Oh, Cole Anthony, we're going to get it to you and go to work. So I thought we did a good job of recognizing the game. He did a great job of being patient and allowing the game to come to him, not trying to force anything, but when he needed to turn it up, he sure did.
Jayson, I know it's a long season and you keep moving on to the next game after losses and stuff like that, but was there any sense of relief in this one to see some shots fall and to just play with this kind of energy?
Excuse me. I mean, yeah, it definitely felt good to hit some shots, but I just like how physical we were from the beginning. Starters haven't necessarily started the game as well as we would have liked recently, but I think tonight we matched their intensity from the beginning, and the guys that came off the bench did an excellent job of pushing it forward.
And again, you guys do kind of pride yourself on your ability to, hey, we lost, we'll take what we can from it, we'll move on. But was there anything extra after that loss in Toronto where it's like, okay, maybe there's a realization that whatever has been happening, maybe it went a step too far and you had to rein it in?
I mean, no, we didn't overreact. We didn't play well in Toronto, and in all areas of the game, we deserved to lose. But this was a good opportunity against a physical team that plays really hard, the team that we lost to a couple weeks ago or whatever it was. So it was just a good opportunity for us to respond, and obviously we got another game tomorrow.
Jayson, you mentioned you guys hadn't been playing the way you wanted to as a starting group. You guys were a plus 15 tonight. Does that make you guys feel any kind of sense of relief?
I mean, results can vary, plus, minus, and things like that. But I think just how connected we were on both ends of the floor, especially on defense. Everybody was on the same page. We were connected, helping each other out. So, regardless of the plus, minus, or the result of the game, I think just the way we went about it was a lot better today.
Jayson, you mentioned that defensive connectivity a little bit. It felt like you guys were a bit more locked in is not the right word, but energized maybe on the defensive end in this game than the Raptors game. Was that something you guys talked about? Did you feel the noticeable difference? Was that something like that you made a point to do in this game?
I mean, it wasn't where it needed to be last game. So we responded. We bounced back. It's kind of as simple as that.
Then Joe's talked about in the past how you guys have the same group of guys here this year, but you still need to reestablish those habits. You need to reestablish the chemistry, stuff like that. How do you feel like that's been going as obviously get KP back in the lineups, sort of get healthy here? How do you think you guys have been sort of re-gelling this?
I think we're in a good spot. We've had to play most of our season, with different guys in the lineup and not everybody being healthy. So it's kind of like start of the season right now, just in a unique way, having everybody healthy and just trying to build off that.
You mentioned the connectivity earlier of the starting five. Why do you feel at times this year that's kind of come and gone and waned during certain periods? Is there anything you could point to as to, is it just the nature of the season? Is it if you guys feel like you could turn it on when you need to? Like, why is it kind of waned at times?
I don't know the exact answer. Part of it may be that, we haven't had our full roster for a good chunk of the season. So on given nights, we were just playing with different guys and trying to figure it out on the whim. But also not trying to make any excuses that there's a lot of teams in the league that deal with injuries, and you still got to go out there and compete and figure out ways to win. So, there's not just one thing or one reason why we've struggled somewhat. But, we're going to figure it out.
Jayson, you caught Paolo Banchero one-on-one on a play, I think it was in the third quarter. Is there extra juice going up against a former Dookie, and what is that kind of relationship with Paolo like and throughout the NBA?
Yeah. I'm pretty close with P. Ever since his freshman year at Duke, we've established a relationship. And I've been on record saying it many a times that, love him as a person, a great competitor. The things that he's done already in this league, and where he's going to continue to keep going in his potential. Everybody can see it. I know he loves the game. And he works really hard at it. So, I venture to say that we're going to be playing against each other and competing for a long time in this league.
You were talking about last game, the defensive miscues. You guys had a lot of miscommunications that you don't usually have. How do you go about fixing those in time for the next game? Is that something you have to go through in a walkthrough? Is it just a conversation of we need to get better at communicating early?
It's 50-50. We got to talk about things. We have a game plan and a scout. But the game is all about reactions, and, shit happens from time to time, and, you misread a coverage or you guess the wrong way. And part of it is just, being there for your teammate, right? If somebody gets beat off the dribble, we help, and, we fly around afterwards and just make those extra efforts, because it's not always going to be perfect every single possession, but what are you doing to help the next guy and, maximum effort, things like that.
Jayson, the Scotty Barnes hand clap, and then after the game, the Raptors posted a picture of the box score, and then Brandon Jennings. It seems like you're a focus of a lot of shots, a lot of criticism. Does that make you want to play more angry? Do you enter? How does that affect your disposition when your name is being thrown about like that, especially like after a tough loss? The Brandon James, it seems kind of over the top there, but just kind of when it's focused towards you, how does that make you feel?
I don't know. I guess I'm a big deal.
Up next, Celtics host the Atlanta Hawks. Hawks are such a weird team to me. Start of the year, they couldn't beat anybody except, I believe, the Washington Wizards maybe was the only ones they could beat. And then they take down Boston in the start of group play in the in-season tournament, kind of ruined Boston's chances of getting to Vegas. And then they start having some signature wins along the way, and Trae Young gets hot, and Dyson Daniels is everywhere. They're still struggling to find the consistency that even Boston is yearning for. But it's clear, there's something there. the same team that got to, and it's a different team, but like the Hawks and Trey got to the Eastern Conference Finals a few seasons ago. It feels like they came crashing back to earth in the aftermath, but maybe there's something here to build off of with the way that they play. And let's face it, like especially on the second night of a back-to-back, that's a frisky team to have to play, and they're well rested. They should bring an energy to the court tomorrow that the Celtics are going to have to match. And when you start thinking about Celtics played both Porzingis and Horford on the first night, sometimes they split them up, but clearly you needed to put your best foot forward against Orlando. I would suspect that both those guys would probably sit. We'll see what happens. Al will certainly sit. Porzingis, I guess you could consider it, but 23 minutes tonight for Kristaps. I don't know if you just want to. I think you need to trade cautiously in the second half of the season. We'll see if anybody else gets downshifted. But an opportunity here. So Luke Cornett, Nimi Ishketa should play bigger minutes regardless. You know, the bench in general, Peyton Pritchard will get more time. We'll see how they approach the starting lineup. Does, Sam Hauser would normally elevate, but they don't have any other pure big out there. So maybe Nimi gets to start or Luke gets to start. They're going to have to get creative with how they play this game. Maybe Nimi gets a spot start with the way they get up and down the court, and you try to match that energy and give yourself a jolt. Bring Peyton off the bench early. The fact of the matter here is the Celtics are going to be challenged by the Hawks, and if the Hawks are having one of those nights where, Dyson Daniels is making everything in the mid-range, or Trey's just on fire, you gotta match that intensity and that energy, and a good little challenge on the second night of a back-to-back for the Celtics. And you start looking further ahead, like they're heading out west. It would be good for them to build a little bit of momentum. We've talked about taking care of home court, playing the right way defensively. They got to carry over a lot of what they did well here on Friday night against the Magic and make sure they bring it on Saturday against the Hawks. I'll be right back in this chair, recapping it all. So go go subscribe, go check us out on the YouTube page. Go read my story on NBC Sports Boston, and even though I pretty much read it to you on this podcast, and just revel in the fact that the Celtics, I said if like they check 2 or 3 of those boxes, I'd be like, yeah, that's a good start. Like they're moving in the right direction. They got all of them pretty much tonight. So good for the Celtics for checking all the boxes. We'll catch you tomorrow night on the PostGame Pod.